Okay, so I'm going to tell you a very cool story about Reiki, a Reiki experience that I had with my twin flame yesterday. That's her in the picture there on the right. And this is a story about the energy, the power, the potency of Reiki, which is love and light energy coming through to help align our chakras and our energy systems and unconditionally love us and get us back in balance and on our path. And about signs and synchronicities and how we are all connected. There's so many lessons that Reiki teaches us that I wouldn't even know how to fit it all in one discussion, but I'm going to do my best to relay this story of what happened yesterday because it's pretty darn magical. So my flame had something really important coming up in her life, and I'm not going to tell you the details of her story, and I said to her, I'd like to give you Reiki as a gift. So we did it. We scheduled last night to do that. And in the morning, she sent me a picture of two deer that she actually saw on her travels. And two deer is very significant to her and I for other reasons, which is another long story. And we thought that was a good sign for something that was coming up for her. And then when I woke in the morning, I just had to do this painting right here. And I just knew it was some sort of angelic or spirit guide presence coming through. I didn't really know what I was going to paint, but that was what was boiling up to the surface of me and had to be released. So she sent me the picture of the deer. I was already probably in the process, I believe, of painting what looked like these two figures starting here. And I thought, how interesting already that, she saw the two deer and here I am painting two figures and that it was happening on this day, that we were going to do the Reiki in the evening and she had this big thing coming up the next day. So I got very engrossed in my painting, and honestly, I looked at the time and I still had to work out and take a shower and I had to do the Reiki for her, and I finished it and I put it to the side, but then I thought I'm going to bring this painting in to the Reiki session because it came through today, and I just felt that it could help us, that it could assist us with the Reiki and the guidance we were asking for her. So I brought it up into this room where I do Reiki in my house, and so it was here, and I kept looking at it through the whole, I'd open my eyes and I'd see it across the room for me. And I had sent her a picture of it as well. So she also had it in her mind's eye. Not really for any reason, just to say, hey, look what I painted today, Flame. So during the Reiki session, I actually didn't ask her if she had any crystals with her, but on her end, what she chose to do and never told me was she had four, I think they're quartz, it doesn't really matter, but they were like stones that had the elements on them. So one said water, one said fire, one said earth, one said air. And afterwards, she told me all this. And so she put the air one at her head, she put the earth one at her feet, which would be your root chakra. And then on both sides of the bed she was laying on, she had water and fire, but she was not holding the stones in her hand. She just kind of placed them within her reach type of thing. So for me, without getting into the details of her story, one of the things that happened was I felt a lot of heaviness in her heart and throat, just like a lump is how I would describe it. Energetically, it was just like a lump. And I had a hard time getting past that to do anything else for her, so I focused a lot of sending the Reiki energy to that area. And at one point, I went off into this little vision quest or shamanic vision, which seems to be happening more so for me during these Reiki healings, where I just saw myself and her, and we were grown women, and I said, let's get out of here, Flame. You have too much. It was almost like we were in that area of her body, and I said, there's too much here. I need to take you someplace away from here to heal you, to help heal you. And then I saw us as grown women, and we were putting on these white eyelet dresses, and we were fixing each other's hair and putting braids and little beautiful little flower crowns. But then we transformed into little girls, and we were little girls for the rest of the vision. And off we went running into this field, and this beautiful vast flower field with mountains in the background. There was nobody else around, and we were just running and running and running and holding hands. And then all of a sudden, these large apple trees started to grow up. I mean, higher than buildings. I mean, touching the heavens. But I could see the fruit. I could see the fruit up high in the sky. And I remember thinking, that's a lot of fruit. Like, if this fruit starts falling, we're in trouble. And then all of a sudden, one apple fell. And I can't remember which one of us caught it. but we caught it effortlessly. It was like, boom, the apple fell, we caught it. And I said, let's take a bite of this apple. You bite one side and I'll bite the other, because my feeling was that it was a gift. It was a sacred apple. So we did that, and then we ate the whole apple, and we were left with the core. And I said, or she said, we can't throw this core to the ground, Flame. And I said, oh, I know, we can't throw it to the ground, Flame. And that's another story. It has something to do with something that happened with us, very funny. And I said, no, 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 I'm never throwing anything to the ground again. But we knew this apple was sacred, but we were standing in the middle of this beautiful field and we didn't really know what to do with the apple. So all of a sudden, I see, this is on my part now, not hers. I see Kuan Yin come in, Kuan Yin is my Reiki goddess who assists me all the time with Reiki. And she just came levitating in, just floating in. And she had a big smile on her face, and she took the apple from my hand, and then she flung it up to the sky. And when she did that, the apple disappeared. It actually transformed into the sun, this big, beautiful, bright sun, and this waterfall, this very tall waterfall that started to come down in front of us. And we were like, wow, like it was so magical. And then Kuan Yin just kind of smiled at us, and she said, you two are divine love. You are what divine love is, your relationship. And then she was gone. She just vaporized, and we started running through this field again. We ended up, on my part, in this cave, and the waterfall was now inside the cave, and we were sitting in front of this tiny little fire, just holding hands and really communicating on a telepathic level. We weren't really talking. So that is an example of, you could say I have a vivid imagination, but I was not purposely doing anything. It happened and I saw it. It was an internal vision. It was happening in another dimension, is my feeling, because it was a way of the Reiki processing the healing for my flame. So here's the cool part of the story. So afterwards, we both wrote up what happened and sent it to each other, and then we read it once we both had done that, so that we weren't crossing wires anywhere or, elaborating on our story. And Jen said,